What's up, Winning in the Shadows? Andy and Jim. We're doing the breakdown video. We will be live for Takedown Live this Saturday. It's crazy. There's only two left there's only 2 events left in the year. But what's amazing is, do you remember this break used to be 6 or 7 weeks?
It was torturous.
Now it's not even a month.
Yeah.
The next event is January 11th. They're like, come on, let's pick it up. Let's get some people fighting. So we're going to be doing Takedown Live, and then we'll have our end of the year special for the last Takedown Live. We'll do something. Well, we'll figure out something kind of cool to do. So, Jim, we've got a lot of old people fighting on this card, and I love this new phrase, the "do me a favor."
We got a couple do me a favor fights.
Okay. All right. So we'll let Jim explain what the do me a favor is. But if you haven't joined the Winning in the Shadows Discord, do that now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You guys know what to do. And let's get into the fights. Welcome, everyone. Andy and Jim, we're breaking down UFC 310, Pantoja and Asakura, a fight that if you would have given me a million guesses at the beginning of the year, I would have never guessed if we're going to see this one. But we're going to break down all the fights and give you our plays. We've got some fade the old fighter theories. We got some do me a favor theories. We got some weird ones. So we're going to get right into it. But if you guys could, please hit the like button, subscribe, and give us your best bet in the comment section. If you don't have a best bet, code word click. Just click. Click on the thing and then type the word click. It's a double click. So, all right, Jim, let's get into it here. We'll start with the fight we didn't want. It's the fight we needed. Kennedy and Nzichukwu and Lukasz Brzeski. I will remind everybody that Kennedy is coming off of a win over a fighter who hurt himself during fighter introductions. Before that, he lost 2 in a row. So, should he be a minus 650 favorite in this one against Brzeski? What do you think?
Well, Kennedy is our very, very first do me a favor fight. Sean Shelby gave Kennedy a call and said, Kennedy, listen, I need you to get rid of Lukasz Brzeski for me, okay? It's the last fight on his contract. I know you just fought a couple weeks ago. You want to get one more. Do me a favor and just get rid of this guy for us so we can just be done and we don't have to hold him under contract. So this is the very first doing the UFC a favor at the end of the year. Kennedy and Nzichukwu gets gifted the steroid abuser of all steroid abusers in this division who's been caught. I still can't get over the before and after of Brzeski pre and post steroids. It is one of the craziest body transformations that you'll see.
There's been some incredible body transformation. His is pretty up there. There's been some good and bad. His is noteworthy. We'll just say noteworthy.
Brzeski's got no cardio. He's got no grappling game.
What?
He really doesn't have power.
What?
But here's the problem. You don't need power for Kennedy to make a mistake. So this line is just getting out of control. To get any kind of a good number on this fight, I think you're going to have to play Kennedy by finish, or you're going to have to take him in round 2, round 3. I mean, does Brzeski last the first round? This is a tricky one to start the fight. I am not a fan of laying the juice on Kennedy money line. Gee, I wonder why. I don't know, because he's burned us in the past. Okay? So yeah, it should be Kennedy very easily. I expect him to get a takedown and just absolutely wash this guy on the ground. But you could have Kennedy that'll want to make it a kickboxing match for 15 minutes. You never know with this guy.
So we look at Kennedy and how does he win? Finish. Devin Clark, finish. Kudalaba, finish. Carl Robertson, finish. Marquez, finish. Even Carlos Olberg. This man beat Carlos Olberg. That's a hilarious thing. That's gonna be one of those that ages weird on Tapology when you're looking back on it. I'm with you. Brzeski's awful. He was gifted the Walter Walker fight, but other than that, he's just been awful in the UFC. I mean, crazy enough, his best fight was his first one against Martin Buday, where he looked good, and he's just been terrible. Like finished in round 1 by Mick Parkin. It's awful. So I don't mind Kennedy by finish. We'll have to see what the lines are on this. We're recording this a little bit earlier in the week, and I don't have the props for it. But if you're playing Kennedy, yeah, it's got to be by finish. You can't mess around with the money line. So I see no upside for Brzeski here. I really like. Was he going to knock him out? No. Was he going to tire him out? Absolutely not. Is he going to submit him? No. Like, what's the path? I just don't see it. So
Kennedy screwing up. That's the path. That's all he's got. It's got
I
nothing
think-
to do with him.
I
It's
think
all
he-
about Kennedy.
I think he learned his lesson against OSP. I think he learned his lesson.
Let's hope
Can't
so.
be doing that. You cannot be doing that. So, all right. So that's a do me a favor. What's explain the do me a favor? We're here towards the end of the year. Explain the do me a favor.
Well, it's
theory.
the end of the year, and this is the time of year where all of us we cash in our favors for the year, right? You got to cash in your favors at the end of the year, or they go by the wayside. So, I mean, just reel them in a little bit. You know, my wife needs a new laptop. I got a buddy in IT. Guess who got a phone call today? Hey, remember when you got new brakes on your car? I need a new laptop. You call in your favor. So, exactly. So I just think this is the UFC asking some of these guys to just do them a favor and come in, take a fight. Maybe it's not a full training camp. They need to clear some fights on some contracts and just get people out of here. House cleaning, man. We do spring cleaning. UFC does New Year's cleaning. They do it.
You're right, man. They just had a contender series. We got to out with the old in with the new here, guys. So, all right. So that's one theory. The other theory you're going to hear is fade the old fighter. This is skyrocketed to the top of the list of profitable betting strategies that we've had. And Clay Guida is a fade the old fighter if I've ever seen it. I'll let you go first and talk this one out. We got Chase Hooper and Clay Guida.
Well, we don't really like to compare grappling matches to MMA fights, but I think in this case it kind of rings true. So the two of these faced each other in a grappling match, and it was a pretty easy submission for Chase Hooper in that spot.
And this
Clay
was
Guida's
I didn't mean to interrupt you. This was 2022 when Chase Hooper was still kind of
baby Chase.
maturing a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
So Clay Guida's lost condition, he kind of gets submitted. Stuck his neck out with Jim Miller twice, I believe. I think he submitted him twice. A lot of submission losses. For Clay Guida. I know he's considered a decision machine, but the guy really, has he ever been knocked out? Like out?
I don't. He had knee bar to Claudio, armbar, Jim Miller, guillotine, Ortega knocked him out. But you're right, Thiago Tavares choked him out.
Yeah.
Dennis Bermudez choked him out. Chad Mendez knocked him out. So there's a few. But I mean, when you look at the Clay Guida resume,
Keep scrolling.
Look at this thing. 2003. I graduated college a year before. It's amazing. I mean, shout out to Clay Guida. We're getting ready to rip him, but I mean, shout out to him. So
he's still going. You know, the one thing Clay still does have is cardio. I don't think it's enough. I just don't think it's enough in this fight. He loses by submission, and the reason he does is because he pushes the wrestling so much, and he just sticks his neck in bad places, man. Just bad places. With the long arms of Chase Hooper, the front choke series, which Chase is fantastic at, let's keep in mind, is going to be there. You're going to see a stuffed takedown to a guillotine to a Darce choke to an anaconda series from Chase. He'll transition from one to the other. And I think at some point he's going to catch Clay. I actually think this is going to be pretty early in this fight. I think this is going to be a round one. Don't be shocked if Chase hurts him on the feet either. This Chase Hooper has officially pivoted to a bet on fighter at this weight and at his age. And that's what we say in the sport. You have to evolve. You can't just look at it and say Chase Hooper sucks. He's not the same kid. He's not a kid anymore. So I think this is Chase by finish. The line is out of control. The whole world knows it. I don't know if this is a Clay retirement. It wouldn't shock me.
It has to be.
I mean, he's got so many other things going on. He's coaching wrestling, he's competing in grappling. He has his deep sea fishing company that he goes out with. He's all about fishing. The guy loves to fight. This could be the end. I don't know.
It's minus 1100, so we're not exactly breaking any. There's no hot takes here. Chase Hooper. I mean, I went back and watched his last fight. I forgot he just dropped Borchev. in the first round, almost ground and pounded him out, and then dominated the second round. It was by far he just looked so much better at this weight division. So I'm with you that this is a Clay Guida that has just been through the ringer. And you said he stuck his neck out. He stuck his neck in against Joaquim Silva. He tried to go for a takedown. Joaquim Silva almost got him in a choke.
Wants a fight. Like you're wondering, does he have it?
Yeah. All right, now we're gonna get to one where I don't think everybody is on my page with the fade the old fighter theory.
Mm-hmm.
I am fading Michael Chiesa. I just am. This line is moving closer and closer. It was minus 135. It was minus 125, and people are not all in on Max Griffin. And I don't need to be all in on Max Griffin. I just need to be all out on Michael Chiesa. And I got to tell you, Jim, I don't get the love for Chiesa. I watched an interview with him, and he talked about how he thought the Tony Ferguson fight was his last fight. And then he wins, and he was like, oh, maybe I can fight for a title. He was like, well, timeout. And then in the same breath, he was like, but I am a full-time announcer. I watched his fight against Tony Ferguson. Oh, man, was that bad. And then I went back and watched his fight against Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland pushed the pressure, pushed it forward. Chiesa got stuffed on a couple takedowns and was exhausted. This is all in the first couple minutes. Max Griffin is not going to blow your doors off. He's strong enough to stuff and take some takedowns. And even if Chiesa gets him down, I think Griffin can get back up. And if Griffin can land some shots from the outside, he's going to have the striking advantage. I'm stunned that people are not like betting against Chiesa. And what do we say this a lot of times? It's not what fighter you're betting on, it's what fighter you're betting against. What's Chiesa's upside to winning here? It's got to be a takedown and a submission in the first round. It's what's got it. Max Griffin just went the distance against Jeremiah Wells. It was a pretty good fight. He lost the decision to Michael Morales, who's steamrolling everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Wins against Tim Means, which goes the distance. Loses a split against Neil Magny. That goes the distance. Carlos Condit goes the distance. He's got the stamina, and Chiesa doesn't. The only advantage Chiesa has is a submission on the ground, and I'm just not sure he can get there. I will be fading the old man fighter in this one. What do you think?
I concur. The problem with Chiesa is he hasn't evolved. He had to move weight classes to revitalize his career. Was there a big change in skill? No. Same fighter, just bigger, right?
Yes.
Stand-up is still absolutely some of the worst stand-up in the UFC, period.
It's bad.
Okay?
It's really bad.
Period, exclamation point. It is really lacking. Tony had some moments. I mean, they're Tony moments. Now, Chiesa talking about wanting to compete for a title, maybe when they grappled, some of Tony's craziness transferred into Michael's body, by osmosis of some sort, MMA osmosis. He tasted a title again for some reason. Not happening, Mike. And you could say it's just cannon fodder for the media. But there's no way, legitimately, in this guy's mind, he thinks he can win a title. Like, look, more power to you if you can. But I'm just telling you, got more going for you. You're a good announcer. You're a good analyst. You're a good coach. You got plenty of other things to do. And this is just a case, too, where I heard somebody saying, with Michael, his mind, he's gotten so much better in his mind. Look, I'm 40. The stuff I want to do in my mind is so much better than when I was 35. But my 40-year-old body can't do what my 35-year-old body could. Oh, just in that span, 35 to 40 years old. So I know Max isn't a spring chicken by any means either, but like Chiesa just looks, he's got that old man trot to him.
The old man beard.
We were just saying this. I was telling Andy this with Aaron Rodgers. Is that I watched Aaron Rodgers run out onto the field, and I'm like, oh my God, he looks like my uncle when we're playing like catch on Thanksgiving. It's just that old man trot where the knees don't come up and the feet don't come off the ground. That's the vibe I get from Chiesa. I think he's done, man. I think this is Max Griffin, and I know Chiesa's never been knocked out. It was a cut stoppage, but it really wouldn't shock me.
Who is he beating if he doesn't fight Tony Ferguson? I mean, Kevin Holland just steamrolled him.
That was one of my favorite bets of the year.
You called it like
That,
to a T.
Love that Kevin Holland bet.
Yeah, I mean, like, who, if they give him a fight in August against anybody besides Tony Ferguson, who's he beating? A contender series?
AJ
Guy
Cunningham, we'll get to a little bit later.
Yes, yeah, just
Maybe.
yeah. So these are a couple old and we have been spot on with these fade the old fighters, PFL and UFC. When you get these older guys, where you're just like, man, this guy's so old, it just doesn't work. And like you said, Max Griffin, no spring chicken, but he's at least a springer chicken than Michael Chiesa. So we're going with Michael Chiesa. So, all right, guys, real quick. We do have a 5% UFC best bet that is up. Go grab that for UFC 310. Go grab it. We've been lights out in MMA. Swept the card at PFL. Shout out to you, Jim. Capped off an insane year of PFL. Literally one event tripped us up, and it was that stupid high altitude. But other than that, profit across the board. I went back and looked. We're up 22 units on big bets just in the UFC. 2024 totals, 112.33 units. And people always talk about long-term success. We talk about it and we live it, man. Since January 1st, 2023, 203.21 units. That's number one at Wager Talk. So this is our very first 5% play of the month. I know it's early in December, but we really don't use too many of these. I think we only used a couple. So go grab the 5% play. This is a loaded card with several just amazing betting opportunities. So I can't stress that enough. Go grab that 5% play if you haven't already. Use the shortcut wt.buzz/AL. All right, let's keep going.
If I may, real quick.
Yeah.
Every single unit and every single bet on that record, we are betting with our own money. You are always going to get full transparency and honesty from us, especially with MMA. If we talk about an MMA play and we say it's a bet, it is bet with our money every single time. We win with you, we lose with you. And it's been a great year. I wish you all could win with us. It's a great year.
It's a great point. Literally every client play has our own money on it. We made that pledge to ourselves and to our clients when we first started this thing. It was like, we are not putting out a play unless we have our own money on it. And every single Monday we do our bankroll recap where we go over our wins and our losses, full transparency. So if we're betting it, you're betting it. We are in this together. So let's cash together. It's been an amazing ride the last couple of years. We've built some pretty damn impressive bankrolls. So, all right. I'm interested in this fight. Cody Durden and Josh Van. I'm interested in your take. I'll let you go first.
Okay. I like this. Okay. A lot of love for Cody out there in the space. A lot of love for Cody. Let's poke some holes in Mr. Durden, shall we?
Sure.
This is our favorite thing to do, is poke some holes.
We got both. We got two fighters we could poke some holes in here.
Oh, there's holes to be poked. There's holes to be poked on both sides.
Easy, Jim. Easy. It's a PG-13 show.
here's the first one we're going to talk about. Any win over Matt Schnell. Okay, that's great. You beat Matt Schnell. Awesome. At some point, many points in a fight, Matt Schnell is going to give you an opportunity to A, put him into orbit, or B, choke him unconscious. One of the two. We know that, okay? The Bruno Silva fight. What a beautiful fight for Bruno Silva. Loved the comeback, fighting off the wrestling and getting that knockout. I thought I was really impressed with that. Look, ever since that Donald Trump moment when he was there and it was Colby and it was Durden and they were,
it was a bad night.
Trumping all the way. It was a bad night for those guys. This guy tried to have this persona. It's almost like he tried to follow in Colby's footsteps and play the bad guy. And I watched a lot of his interviews, and it just felt really forced. Look, I am a super fan of him as far as his grit and his wrestling. I really like the guy as a fighter, but I'm really struggling to find anything that he excels at to this point. I know that the wrestling's there, but can he really do it for 3 rounds against top-level competition? I guess that's what I really need to see to put my money on Durden. That being said, with Durden, I think Josh Van really showed us something coming back after that knockout. That knockout against Charles Johnson could have went one of 2 ways for a young fighter, okay? It could have really damaged him. And we've seen these guys be mentally just broken after their first loss, and a devastating loss as well. Do you think Van was winning that fight in the third?
I thought it was really close. I thought it was 1-1 with Charles Johnson pulling away.
Okay.
So I thought if there wasn't a finish, I thought Johnson was going to eke it out. I wouldn't say it was the most confident read in the world, but I was like, I think Johnson's got because Johnson does have cardio for days. So it's like if you get to the third round with Charles Johnson, you better bring your best gas tank. So that was my take.
I would say Charles Johnson most definitely is the best guy that he's fought. I think Charles Johnson's better than Edgar Chairez. Josh after going back and watching it, he put a pretty good ass whooping on Chairez in that fight.
It was 2 ass whoopings in one fight. It was crazy.
It was really good. Really, really good. Weathered the grappling situations, was able to get back up and really put it on Chairez from there. And I kind of see a lot of the same here. I got a feeling Durden's going to push the wrestling early, and if he doesn't get a submission on Van, I expect Van to be there in the third and be there strong in the third. So if we have any guesses on a 1-1, I would assume it's going to be a 1-1. I think Van's going to take the third because I don't know if Cody does anything on the feet that is going to be able to combat what Josh is going to do to the judges. So I expect this fight to go the distance. I think Josh Van by decision is a great pick.
I've never been the biggest Josh Van fan. So a split against Zalgas. I think everyone wins a split against Zalgas. Kevin Borjas. I've never been impressed with Borjas. I predicted that he would lose against Charles Johnson. And so here's my thing with the Edgar Chairez fight. You can look at Josh Van's performance in one of two ways. One, he got his absolute ass kicked in the first round. Every part of his body got hit and hit a lot of times. And then he showed incredible grit and or I could just say, Chairez gassed. Chairez just gassed himself and anybody else would have laid him. I don't think Cody Durden has that. I think Van's striking is just going to be too much for Durden. Durden's too wild for me. There's big windups where his face is just wide open. And it seems like he's trying to cock back and land the big one because he doesn't quite have the accuracy. And what do you always say about striking? Just touch him, right? Like that's almost
just touch him.
And I think Van is going to be able to do that against Durden. The wrestling, I don't know if it comes into play because Cody Durden, I don't know, does he try and wrestle Van or is he just try? That's what I mean. But
he has to.
But if he doesn't, this is a nightmare for him, and I'm not sure Durden's going to try it. If Durden does wrestle and get him down, I don't know if he can totally keep him there. And I actually think Van can do some damage early, but Van cannot get off to that slow start. If he gets off to a slow start like he did against Chairez, Durden's not gassing. That's the other problem is Durden's not going to gas in round 3 if Van doesn't get that. That's my opinion on it. I like Van to win, and I'm actually pretty confident. And I've been not a big fan of Josh Van. I don't see it from Cody Durden in this one, so Josh Van will be the pick for me. So, oh god, Chris Weidman and Eryk Anders. Is this a fade? The old fighter. The problem is, God, this means you have to put your hard-earned money on Eryk Anders, and I just don't know what to. I don't know what to make of it. What do you make of this fight?
Well, I was trying to look back and see what the stats were for the 195 catchweight fights, and we haven't had many of them. There's not much to go over.
You think?
So, what does that tell you? This is my second do me a favor fight. So, let's go. Chris Weidman calling UFC saying, "Hey, you didn't pay me for showing up on weight. Well, do me a favor. Can we at least rebook it? Do me this favor. Get me on my fight. I'll retire and I'll go off into the sunset. Pay me my money, please."
This is great. I love this. I love this. Do me a favor.
There's some favors going on here. Look, UFC did him a favor putting him at MSG. Just didn't happen to work out. So
and not calling any one of the 34 eye pokes and
there's a couple hands that are empty. Like, come on. Cough it up. You owe me here. I don't know on which side, but there's some stuff going on under the table that makes this fight absolutely just reek of I don't even want to have money on this fight because I just feel dirty. I feel like I'm getting swindled no matter what happens,
I don't want to bet this fight either. I bet against Chris Weidman in his last one, and I just watched that. The eye pokes and the reffing was disgusting. Bruno Silva's performance was disgusting. And then you look at Eryk Anders, and his complete lack of striking defense is disgusting. He gets knocked down. I mean, he beat Jamie Pickett and Kyle Dawkins.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Darren Stewart since 2021. I mean, scraping the bottom of the barrel for this one. It feels like they want to try and set Weidman up for a win. I want nothing to do with this one. I think this is a horrific fight, which nothing would surprise me. A knockout in round one wouldn't surprise me. A boring fight that goes the distance. Eryk Anders better try and clinch and wrestle, because that chin of his just cannot. He gets hit and he just falls over sometimes. Like against bad opponents, and as cooked as Weidman is, he can still throw a punch and land on somebody's chin. I'm with you. It's a pass. This is you're crazy if you bet on this one.
You could do the fade the commentator parlay and fade Chris Weidman and Michael Chiesa.
I mean,
just what is it? The awkward Monday morning at the office when Chiesa and Weidman both walk into a meeting.
And Anthony Smith is waiting there.
Oh, and Anthony Smith making the third one in. They're all just beating shit. So how was your weekend, guys?
And they're like, we got paid. Yeah. All right. This is a fight that's very polarizing for me and Jim, because we have made, I don't want to say a little bit of money, I want to say a lot of money off of Bryan Battle. We have been on Bryan Battle from the very beginning. I had him pegged since he came out of the Ultimate Fighter. And I loved what I saw there, and he really hasn't disappointed. And I'll be honest, the one fight we didn't bet on him was the Fakradina fight. We were like, this is not a good look. This is not a good matchup for him. So it gets a really big step up in competition. And the books, it feels like the books are late to the party. Can I say, is that the right phrase? Late to the party on Bryan Battle?
Yes.
Why is he this big of a favorite against Randy Brown when we were getting insane value on him in previous fights?
The books have gotten crucified on Bryan Battle fights.
And it's like, oh, we're going to make you pay a premium. And I think I wish I hadn't looked at the lines. I wish you would have called and said, what do you think the line is on the Bryan Battle, Randy Brown? I would have said, man, pick him or Randy Brown.
Minus 130 Battle.
Okay, I would maybe lean Bryan. And then I open the books, I see minus 220 on Bryan Battle. And I'm going, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. My biggest problem with Bryan Battle is his striking defense. He eats punches, and he's been okay with it because he hasn't really fought anybody that's damaged him before. And now he faces a guy with arms and legs as long as I am tall. And it's a really, really big problem. That being said, I think Bryan Battle has the dog in him, and I think Randy Brown doesn't. Mm-hmm. I've seen Randy Brown be so lazy in these fights. But if I'm looking at this from odds perspective, there's no way I'm laying minus 220 on Bryan Battle on that striking defense. If anything, I'm betting Randy Brown. This is a really, really tough one to handicap. Where'd you land on it?
I landed right down the middle. Here's where I actually landed is live bet. You might be, like we said, the books, you might miss the party. Okay. You might, it could be a starching in 1 minute, but if you think Randy Brown is going to have a good round, I would assume it's going to be round one. With his length and his accuracy, I could see Battle trying to have the same game plan that he had against Kevin Jousset, which is pressure forward, get on the inside, stifle the range, crowd the person that wants to style fight you. You have a brawler in this situation, and you have a point fighter. Randy Brown is a point fighter. He's not a knockout artist. He is going to just kill you with 1,000 paper cuts. Bryan Battle is going to look to take your soul. So you have these two opposing forces that need the fight in different realms and different areas for their game plans to succeed. And you're going to know pretty quickly what's working and what's not. I like to pivot on these. If we see Bryan Battle, rushing forward and getting Randy Brown up against the fence, and the books are, he's going to win. We might get a great line on Randy Brown, because if he lands a couple shots on Battle, it's going to do damage. There is nobody that Battle has fought that is going to hit as hard as Randy Brown. So
I
you can't trust Battle's chin just out the gate if he's going to have this brawling style. Now, if Battle decides to invest in low kicks and wrestling, hey, I'm on board. I'm totally on board. But the brawling Battle, I'm out.
I want to piggyback on what you just said, that nobody's like hit Battle like this. Like Kevin Jousset didn't hit hard. He was landing jabs, except he was just eating 3 for every one that he. But the fact is, he was landing. You go back and look at that. And Battle was getting his head snapped back. It just wasn't happening. AJ Fletcher's not hitting him. Gabe Green tries to run and gets knocked out. I wish that fight would have lasted longer, because I think that would have been a really, really knocked out.
But Gabe Green's not a power striker either. He's another guy who's just he has not really fought.
Agreed.
Knockout artist.
Trayshawn Gore, Sato, Urbino.
Sato's way past his prime in that fight. That was
you
can't count that one.
So I'm with you that I think Randy Brown poses a whole new threat. That being said, I watched Randy Brown get held down by Zaleski for most of round 2, and you're just like, here we go with the full Randy Brown experience. Like not, and then all of a sudden he reverses it. All of a sudden out of nowhere he just reverses it, gets up. So like I feel like if you can I say this? If you put the heart of Bryan Battle in the body of Randy Brown, you'd have a champion.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Who's beating that guy? I'm not going to bet on it, but I would just say that this is going to be a tough ask for Bryan Battle. And if he does pass this test, look out, because the sky's the limit for this guy. So
I will be ass in seat for this fight with my finger on the button from the opening
for
bell.
The live bets.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Move to Evloev and Aljamain Sterling. How do you see this fight going down?
Bathroom break fight. This is probably gonna be the worst fight on the card.
Oh come on!
It is. Oh wait, no. You know what? I take that back.
There's a Kennedy and Nzichukwu fight on this card.
The Chiesa fight will be the worst fight on the card. I take that back. I'm not a real fan of either guys, and you know me. I like technical fighting. I was impressed with Evloev in his last fight against Arnold Allen. That was one of his best performances, in my opinion. I could do without ever watching Aljamain Sterling fight again. That's probably where more of my hate comes from on the Sterling side. I just think this guy's a fraud. I hate when you see people that go about their business the scummy way succeeding. And this guy's just a weasel. Like absolute weasel. If he showed up to me and said, I want to invest $100,000, I'm not taking it. I'm not getting in bed with this guy because he just seems like a weasel. I really, really don't like it. He's got that cockiness attitude. Not a fan. That being said, he is a fantastic grappler. Problem is he's going up against a guy who's probably a better wrestler than him. So you have the grappling end, but then there's the wrestling. And what we've seen from Sterling is after round 1, God, do those takedowns get uglier than sin, don't they? Like it's grabbing at ankles from 8 feet away, and there's no way he's getting Evloev down with those sloppy, crappy takedowns. It's just not happening. I like Evloev in this spot. I think it's him by decision. He's another one of these guys that just sticks to the game plan, sticks to the game plan. Aljo's going to panic wrestle. It's probably going to stall a lot of time. So by decision, I think is going to way to go this fight to go the distance. And I like Evloev in this spot. He's the next title challenger, isn't he? He gets past Sterling. I mean, you can't deny him.
I said to you, I was like, this is Dana White's like biggest nightmare. Like Sean Shelby made this fight. Dana White was like, are you serious? And Dana was like, well, at least we put them both in, the same fight. I got to tell you, I think Evloev is one of the most exciting fighters that the UFC roster has. I don't understand why people don't like watching him fight. What was boring about his fight with Diego Lopez?
Great fight.
What was boring about that? What was boring about his fight against Arnold Allen? Him dominating. Oh, it was so boring watching him like completely dominate Arnold Allen. What I don't understand why everyone thinks he's boring. The guy can do it anywhere. He can do it on the ground. He can do it on the feet. Like he's like a porn star. He can do it anywhere he wants to. Like
there's the quote of the night. Love it.
Anywhere it goes, he's ready to perform. I love Evloev over Sterling here. I'm with you. I think Sterling is going to have some massive problems here. Even if he does get Evloev down, there's going to be arm bars, there's going to be chokes, there's going to be like submission attempts galore. And I think it's a 3-round fight. Sterling is not going to be able to outlast, or I'm sorry, like tire out. Evloev. No way. And on the feet, it's no contest. I love Evloev in this one. I think he puts on a pretty dominating, exciting performance. I think Evloev does what he always does, which is put on an exciting fight for the fans, and he deserves the bonus. And I'm sick and tired of the hatred on Evloev being a boring fighter. He's 18-0. Boring fighter, 18-0. Give me a break.
Get your Christmas presents ready. Get Andy his Evloev t-shirt.
I want some Evloev memorabilia when he puts on, when he gets a finish bonus. And Dana White is forced to write a $50,000 or whatever the bonuses are for this one. All right, Vicente, Luque, and Themba Gorimbo. This was borderline on a fade the old fighter. Jim, where'd you land on this one?
Well, Andy, I'm going to need you to do me a favor.
Okay.
I think Vicente is asking for a bit of a favor here. So originally we had
okay.
Like, hey, Dana, Sean, listen, fought for you guys for a long time.
Let me find Nick Diaz.
I got a brain injury. Can you give me somebody who maybe isn't going to knock my head into next week, like Buckley and any other murderous power puncher? We got just the guy for you, Vicente. We're going to get Nick Diaz. Meanwhile, Nick Diaz is roaming the streets of Stockton. A scary situation. Nick, I hope you're good.
I don't want to make light of that because that's terrifying.
I'm very glad they canceled this fight.
Oh my God! Yes,
this would have been a disaster.
Yes.
So what do? All right, we got to get you another fighter. Let's give you. Who do we have? Themba. You want to step up here? Is this really a murderous power puncher? That
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Right? You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
To me, Themba's a wrestler, man. He's a wrestler. He could have finished Nico Price.
And Nico, that was a fade the old fighter, like if I've ever seen it.
If you're a legit contender, that's got to be a finish there, man. That's got to be a finish. You got to be able to finish old man Nico with no chin. Robbie Lawler did it on his way out the door. So, a young fighter with a big size advantage. That's the one thing is Themba is big. So I don't know how Vicente is going to handle this, but I really wasn't that impressed with Themba's wrestling. He allowed Price to get back up. He allowed him to scramble. And if you told me that these two guys were going to be, so you say to me that Vicente and Themba are going to grapple. I'll tell you 100% where my money's going. It's going on Luque.
I agree.
Much more dangerous submission-wise. And he knows how to get back up. He knows how to wrestle. It's all about if that chin and that gyro is still good in there. I don't think Themba is this big power puncher. I think this is a 100% winnable fight for Vicente. Of all the old fighters on the card, he's the guy who I think I can pull off a win. So I'm going to go with Vicente pulling this off by submission or decision.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where he just out. I don't see the positional advantages for Themba. Vicente does not get hit, and they allow him to get into the fight and get the rhythm of the fight. I think he's going to excel in his grappling. I really would not be surprised to see a front choke locked up on Themba, who still has many, many, many holes in his game.
His position control was so bad against Nico Price.
Nico was really bad.
Nico was able to get out of some positions, and you were just watching, and you could see it coming from a mile away. Mm-hmm. And listen, if we can see it coming from a mile away, Vicente Luque can feel it coming from a mile away. I don't know if he's got the stamina. I don't know if he's got the power. I don't know if he's got it left in him. But I will tell you this: I'm not laying money on Themba in this one. I mean, he fought where did Brahimaj come from in his last performance? Because the Brahimaj that we watched in that fight was awful. Mm-hmm. Pete Rodriguez, awful. Sato, really awful. Bad. And Nico Price was, he's a corpse at this point for UFC standards.
And don't forget, lost to AJ Fletcher.
It was bad. That's another thing. Yeah, that was before he, was eating. Which is one thing. I don't know if I want to trust my money with Luque, but at the price, yeah, it's Luque or nothing on this one. So, all right, Anthony Smith and Dominick Reyes. I have this pegged as a fade the old guy theory. What do you think?
This is an old guy theory. I can't even do anyone a favor in this one. This is an old guy theory fight.
And most people are like, which one?
Let's analyze, shall we?
Is it the guy with 17 fights or the guy with 57 fights? Spoiler, it's the guy with 57 fights. So.
We need to update this picture.
This is an all-timer. You had the one from the woman. Who was the woman?
Who fought Hardy's wife? Mora, right?
Eduardo Mora.
Yeah.
That's the most deceiving picture in MMA that is going right now. This is a close second. This is a close second. So.
Get it right, Tapology. He's got like 100 more tattoos than that. He's got abs. He hasn't had abs since 2008. I mean, come on.
Well, I will tell you this. By round 2, if this makes it to round 2, he will be breathing through that open mouth that we see right there. All right, let's talk Anthony Smith and why I think you and I both believe this is not a spot that's good for him.
Well, Anthony Smith has not been right for a while. We can go all the way back to the loss to Glover. I don't think we're really processing the amount of damage that he took in that fight. Like, I know he rattled off these 3 wins, but it was against Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute, and Devin Clark. Okay? That Glover fight, man, that was one that was really like, I was kind of ready to look away. When you're seeing a man's teeth flopping out on the floor and the other guy's apologizing while he beats his head into the canvas. And just from that point on, Anthony got a little weird in the head. And I like Anthony Smith as a person, as a commentator, as a coach, but I'm a little concerned about the damage at this point. I don't like the fact that he's still fighting. He really hasn't done anything spectacular in a while. The one thing that he did do was exactly what Andy said he was going to do, was catch Vitor Petrino in a cocky young man fighter spot where he knew he could get the win. Then this fight happens with Roman Dolidze, where Roman takes this thing on extremely short notice and manages to win in perhaps one of the ugliest, sloppiest, waste of time fights I've ever seen in my life. It was bad. Very bad.
They were laughing and joking in round 3. It was awful.
I forgot how bad it was till you told me to go back and watch it.
It was horrific.
And it is bad, okay? I don't get it, man. I don't understand why he's still fighting. And again, this goes back to Chiesa, still talking like he can compete for a title. Stop.
Why do you not understand? These are paychecks for these guys. They're filling in cards. He fought Roman Dolidze, which it was when you go back and watch that fight, it was. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything. I'm just going to say it looked like there was a handshake. You don't kill me, I won't kill you. Anthony Smith was breathing out of his mouth 4 minutes into the fight. He was done. His cardio was done. What's Anthony Smith's path to victory? Wrestling, submissions. Roman Dolidze knocked him down and laid on top of him for the entire second round. Smith got up, and then in the last round, they were laughing and joking about their leg kicks and stuff. So I do this thing where I put the last 2 fights of fighters on screens on my computer, and I put them right next to each other. It's a great way to gauge speed. If you want to see what the speed difference is, pull up the last 2 fights. And Anthony Smith looks like he's in slow-mo. I thought I had it on like slow speed. Dominick Reyes in his last fight, we'll pull up Dominick Reyes. This is when he knocked out Dustin Jacoby, which is a damn good win. Jacoby doesn't get knocked out very often. I put him next to each other, and Anthony Smith, seriously, he looked like in slow motion. Reyes was a lot quicker speed, and Anthony Smith is over there like pawing at Dolidze and just pawing at him. And so, would you say you're worried about the chin of Reyes? Well, he has to be fighting somebody that has the power to test the chin. Anthony Smith hasn't shown that in forever. Let's actually pull up the last time Anthony Smith knocked somebody out. Jimmy Crute, leg injury. You have to scroll all the way down to Marcelo Rua in 2018 to find the last time Anthony Smith knocked somebody out. The speed is going to be there for Reyes. And I saw somebody was saying, like, well, you never know about Reyes' cardio. And it's like, oh, Anthony Smith is the one to push him. like in order to be exposed to bad cardio, you have to have somebody like pushing you to have bad cardio. I don't see it from Anthony Smith. I think this is the last paycheck before the end of the year. We see this happen all the time with the end of the year things, and like the do me a favor thing. I don't know who's doing who a favor. Like if UFC is like, Anthony, can you jump in and do this fight? Or Anthony Smith is like, I got another fight on my contract. Could you give me a fight before the end of the year? It's Reyes for me. I'm not worried about his chin. I thought he looked great against Jacoby in only 2 minutes. That knockout was spot on, man. That was spot on. And Jacoby is a kickboxer who is way faster than Anthony Smith. So I don't worry about his chin.
Very similar body type too. Like
agreed.
So if he could find the range there, you would expect he could find the range against a slower Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. Nate the Train, Landwehr, duo Choi. Where are you going with this one?
Fight of the night. Nate the Train is
this
back.
This is going to be great. Dude, I hope this lives up to the hype, man.
Nate Landwehr is sneaky Jim's top 3 favorite fighters right about now. Like, wait, Nate Landwehr is up there. I love me a Nate Landwehr post-fight speech after a W. That is an absolute highlight for me. I mean, it is must-see TV every time. Breathing heavy, blood coming out of 3 places on his face, and all you do is get up there and just say, I told you, Nate the Train.
Nate the Train, baby.
Love me some Nate the Train. Here's the problem. He does get dropped every fight. So what makes Nate so awesome is what makes him so volatile. I've had a really good read on him, and I've gotten, I would say, lucky with Nate, because I think a lot of the times when you bet Nate and you get a win, there's some luck involved.
Timeout. Of all the fighters to have correctly predicted a bunch of fights in a row,
I know
you correctly predicting Nate Landwehr's fights has to be an all-time Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah,
we've done good on Carlos Ulberg and Kyle Borrallo, but you correctly predicting Nate the Train's last few fights is the ninth wonder of the world.
It's just a coin. I have a coin here. Just flip it and say Nate the Train coin. So let's look at this fight. Let's just, all joking aside, let's look at this fight. So you have Nate who's going to get hurt. He's going to be bleeding. You have Choi who can hurt him. Is he going to do anything after round 1? Probably not, right? Like, if he's going to finish Nate, it's going to be in the first. If you don't get Nate out on the first chance to do it, he is going to come back and win the fight. Like, it's just that simple. So that's really what you're betting on, isn't it? Is can Nate take the shots to start here? I think Choi's going to be way faster in the first. I see him clipping Nate with a really solid 1-2. And if he does not jump on Nate to finish him, then I am all over Nate the Train. That being said, here's the best way to play this fight. Fight does not go the distance. We'll see what the lines are when they come out, but I don't see what world Nate doesn't get knocked out in the first or come back and just leave Choi in a bloody pulp in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Where I think that Nate can really excel is if Choi tries to finish him and his cardio starts to wane because Nate's just taking it all. I think Nate could get the wrestling going here. We haven't seen Choi have really high-level wrestling defense and submission defense, and it's going to take 1 or 2 shots for Nate to hurt him a little bit. I can see a panic shot, and Nate spins around, takes his back, and locks up a submission at the end of the night. So as far as a pre-fight bet, I can't bring myself to bet on Nate just yet. I think I'm going to get a really good number on Nate live after he takes that first shot, but I will have some form of fight doesn't go the distance parlayed up for the weekend.
Yeah,
Fight of the night, 100% this fight.
Choi looked good against Algio. I thought Algio looked terrible, and still Algio landed shots. Like, it wasn't like Choi was doing great, like in terms of like, oh, he dominated. I thought Algio was just slow in that one, and Landwehr is not going to be slow. I think you're right. The under is the only way to play this fight, so it should be exciting. That should be a great one. And yes, everyone in the building is going to be rooting for Nate Landwehr, so we get a Nate the Train post fight.
That's the other thing. You know the crowd's going to be on Nate's side.
It's all over Nate. Yeah, it's absolutely. So
yeah, shout out real quick. I don't want to make the video too long, but talk about a guy who branded himself the second he came to the UFC. If you're a young fighter and you want to learn how to make some money, you do what Nate the Train did when he came in here. He let his personality out, let his personality show, and now he's getting bigger and bigger fights and bigger paychecks at the tail end of his career too.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right, Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie.
Tag it.
Okay, all right, I'll take this one. I'm not going to bet on this one. The price is insane. I get that it's Kron Gracie and nobody wants to bet on Kron Gracie. I don't want to bet on Kron Gracie. And Bryce Mitchell is going to have the massive edge in wrestling. That's a problem, is Kron Gracie wants it to be on the ground. And I think Bryce Mitchell is going to want to thwart his muscle. I think he's going to want to take Kron Gracie down and ground and pound him. And he will take Kron Gracie down. And he will ground and pound him. And all it takes is one boneheaded decision from Bryce Mitchell to put his neck somewhere it shouldn't be, or more importantly, to put his arm where it shouldn't be. And that's why I'm terrified to bet on Bryce Mitchell, because this almost feels like a setup for Bryce Mitchell, but at the same time, this feels like a setup for a Kron Gracie crazy out of nowhere submission win where Bryce Mitchell does something stupid, because Bryce Mitchell does something stupid in all of his fights.
True.
He does
win, lose, or draw every time.
Win, lose, or draw. There is a moment where he does something stupid. It's like Charles Oliveira. Well, yeah, we know he's going to get dropped in his fights. It's just, can the opponent take advantage? And if Bryce Mitchell does something stupid on the ground, Kron Gracie will get him. He's looked awful against Charles Jourdain. He's looked awful against Cub Swanson, but that's because those guys chose to stand up. And I just don't think Bryce Mitchell has it in him. I don't think Bryce Mitchell could just stand there and try and strike. Because honestly, on the feet, I'm not sure who's worse, Bryce Mitchell or Kron Gracie. So it's a pass for me. I would just say a sprinkle on Gracie by submission is not the worst bet in the world when those props come out. Because all agree. As terrible as the Gracies look in MMA, when it comes to grappling and on the ground, that family knows what they're doing, and he's not going to win by knockout. He's not going to win by decision, and I think that price is going to be astronomical. So I will plant my flag here. My big sprinkle bet at plus money is going to be Kron Gracie by submission. What do you think?
Okay. What do we know about the Gracies?
That they're living off of their legacy.
Correct. However,
that wasn't where you were going.
Not where I was going.
Oops.
They are living off their legacy. They are a very, very prideful group. We've seen this plenty of times where a fighter looks absolutely horrible. Do they ever come back worse?
It's just it feels like they're stuck in the past.
I'm not saying them. When we see some of these fighters at the rock bottom, sometimes we overreact.
His fight against Charles Jourdain was rock bottom. That was
rock bottom.
It was about as bad.
It does not get worse than that, right?
Yeah,
can't. There's no way that he went back after that fight to his family and was just like, "Hey, well, I got paid." There was a sit down with a couple Gracie uncles, I'm sure. And the conversation was, if you want to do this, you will not besmirch the Gracie name. They are too prideful for that. There's going to be, I'm predicting, and maybe I'm going out on a limb here too. I think we're going to see a better Kron Gracie in this fight than we did against Charles Jourdain. It would be irresponsible of him and the UFC to put him back in the cage if we're going to get that same I don't really give a shit fighting style that he brought.
Mm-hmm.
That also being said, Bryce Mitchell is out of his damn mind.
He's a lunatic, man.
His main training partner still is AJ Cunningham. If anybody hasn't watched Countdown yet, Bryce and AJ are joined at the hip. They're hiking mountains as AJ's reading Bible verses to him. They're on the top of rocks meditating, talking about doing the Lord's work and just out there, man. Just out there. He just got done getting married. He just got done building his own house. They asked him about training. He said, I'm training and I've been doing a lot of work on the farm. So if you're telling me that Bryce is grappling AJ Cunningham 5 days a week, and now he's going to go into a cage and grapple Kron Gracie, I'm with you 100%. I think it's going to be Kron Gracie just shitting in everybody's apple pie. I am not betting Bryce Mitchell after that knockout.
Oh, shout out to Cody Saftik. This is the apple pie shitter, as Cody calls it. I'm with you. I think this sets up. This
how
might
could
be a
you bet
disaster.
Bryce Mitchell after you watched him almost die in the octagon?
Now he's
And I'm not
building
saying that
houses and-
facetiously. We were terrified.
Yeah, that was a brutal
Absolutely
knockout.
terrified, right? And thank God that Josh Emmett is as nice a guy as he is and as good a guy as he is, because one more shot, we might not even be seeing Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah,
Right now. I mean, that was scary. So, I know we spent a lot of time on this one, but I think it's lunacy to bet on Bryce Mitchell in this fight.
Move on to Ciryl Gane and Alexander Volkov. You and I both did some really deep dives on this one. I like your take on it the best. What do you think?
Well, we have a rematch. First of all, shout out Volkov. Talk about another fighter that has just printed money for us over the years. Absolutely love us.
We nailed him against Pavlovich, Tuivasa, Romanov, and Rosenstrike.
The Romanov weigh-in bet against Volkov will go down in history. That's a shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like, why didn't I back up the Brinks truck?
Yeah, yeah.
So he has a bunch of advantages with his size that I think just people aren't prepared for. The problem with that size is it brings its own list of disadvantages with it as well. It takes so long for his techniques to get back to where they started from that it can make his lack of speed even more evident of being slow. Speed kills, guys, in this sport. Speed absolutely kills, and there is probably no faster heavyweight than Ciryl Gane. Tom Aspinall probably won 1A, right? As far as
speed, Aspinall
right?
on the feet, yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem entirely. I do not think that Volkov is going to be able to find Gane. We saw Gane come back from the John Jones loss with a different mentality. He didn't go in there to just beat Spivak. He went in there to finish Spivak. His coaches know it, and he knew it. In between rounds, if you can catch the audio, is you need to go out and get an emphatic finish over this guy. There is no decision in this fight. Go beat him. Go finish him. I love hearing that from this corner because I wonder if Ciryl Gane doesn't know how good he is. If he would sit down, I know he's very risk adverse, but if this guy would sit down with some power, I don't think there's anybody that can take one of his shots. He hits so hard when he wants to sit down on something. He just only does it twice a fight. To me, it's Gane.
Yeah, he's only 30. He's 34 years old, and he's only had 14 fights. So he started late. He started late in his career, and you're right. I don't think he knows that if he just absolutely nukes a guy, the guy's going to sleep.
Yeah, he has no clue how hard he can really hit. I love the training partners that they brought in. I love what the camp did. They brought in 2 6'6" and 6'7" world champion kickboxers. These guys are super athletic, way faster than Volkov, just as long. I also don't see Volkov being able to get a takedown on Gane. We saw Gane versus Spivak, a much improved. Don't think that this isn't his focus. After getting mollywopped by John Jones and fighting Sergey Spivak, I think he's had plenty of time. This is a rebooked fight. Volkov is the one who pulled out with an injury. So I like Gane in this spot. I mean, of course, Gane by decision is in play. Don't be shocked to see a finish in this fight. But give me Gane on the money line all day.
I was ready to come in hot on Volkov, and then I told you, I was like, I think I'm sentimental because we've made money off of him the last few fights. So I watched the Pavlovich fight. It was a brilliant game plan. Everyone's worried about Pavlovich's power, and what did Volkov do? He just stayed away. Bang, jab, bang, kick, jab. Here's the problem. Pavlovich looked like he was wearing bricks for shoes. He couldn't move around. And I went back and watched the first fight with these two, and the speed was it was not competitive. And so you look at who's Volkov really beat. Well, he beat Rosenstrike, who I'm all about fading. Romanov, that tub of lard, who's no longer in UC. Tai Tuivasa, who sucks. And then, Pavlovich. All these guys are so slow.
And I'm on record saying that Pavlovich is a fraud. I still stand by that he is way overrated.
Yeah, he's got the one move, the one shining moment, and Gane is going to be able to break through that. And I just don't see what Volkov is going to be able to do after doing the research. And to be honest, I had a write up, done. I was like, this line's crazy. Like Volkov, he can do it. And then I'm like, what can he do? Wrestle Gane? Volkov's not a wrestler. What can he do? Knock out Gane? Gane's never been knocked out. He's got a cast iron chin. He lost in a quick decision or a quick choke to John Jones, and he goes to decision against Ngannou. What evidence do we have that his chin is, chinny? Nothing. And then when we look at speed on the feet, it's Gane all day. So I've come around that the price it's probably warranted. I love Volkov, but all winning streaks must come to an end. So it's probably time to fade our boy Volkov. So, all right, someone's winning streaks come to an end. Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Gary. On the surface, Rakhmonov, big favorite, finishes everybody. Ian Gary, questionable performance in his last one. And I know you're here to say, let's dig a little bit deep. So guys, listen to this deep dive here. There's a lot of information about this fight that Jim has uncovered. What are you feeling in this one?
I was shocked at the amount of information I could come up with about this fight. Actually, we went in instantly thinking, "Oh God, this is Shavkat. Nobody's going to beat Shavkat." And then I started digging into this fight more and really going down rabbit holes and looking at opponents and past history and past gyms. And my God, is there a history and a story behind this fight? Look, red flag right out the gate. Number one thing, former training partners.
Not just a couple times.
No, every day. This is massive amounts of training and time together. Their first arrival into the UFC, they trained together at Kill Cliff. Okay, it's where they were. Lots of time to the point, and I'm talking about the type of training where it's like after practice, you're sitting around shooting the shit. You're having a drink. You're really, really close. Red flag number one with that. Those fights never play out like you think they're gonna. Training partners is an absolute nightmare. Remember our ping pong buddies?
There was the ping pong buddies, and then there was the best man at the wedding.
Best man at the wedding was great.
This was a PF.
Oh, the Godfather.
Not the best man. It was the Godfather. There were two guys that were best friends. One was the Godfather, the other one's son, and they were forced to fight each other. And they went and put on the most half-hearted sparring match that went the distance. That they both got DQ'd.
Yep. They pulled them both from the PFL tournament.
I've never heard of them. I've never seen them again.
No.
Unbelievable.
Natan Schultz and
yeah, and then we had two guys that said they were ping pong buddies. And the key is how you bet those overs. You bet the overs. So keep going.
So we're looking at this and Shavkat's running through all these guys, running through them. I just don't see him running through Gary, man. I think Gary is not the best in the world, but he's one of those guys that we underrate because of the pure hatred for him. were we talking about a couple of pay-per-views back? We were talking about why does everybody hate Ian? And it's like the whole, social media thing and the talking like Connor, but like, is he really like a fighter that warrants so much hate? I don't mind his fight style. Like, MVP was going to be a tough fight. It was going to be a weird fight. Don't blame Ian for that. Blame Michael Venom Page for that. That's the way that guy fights. He makes every fight like that. He either knocks somebody out or it's 3 rounds of flashy garbage that lands on forearms. So you can't hate Ian for that. The size is going to be very comparable. I think at range, they're extremely even. I actually give the edge to Gary at range. Where Shavkat could have the advantage is in the wrestling. Now, I don't believe that Ian is going to be there for the first 2 rounds for Shavkat to just run across the cage and get a takedown and get his back and choke Ian out. So I love this fight to go over. I love this fight to go the distance. I think we're getting plus money on the over 3.5. Training partner buddies after 3 rounds, after we're tired. Shavkat's never gone 5. It reeks of me of everybody betting on Shavkat by finish, and it's Shavkat by decision.
Mm-hmm.
But like, would you be shocked to see Ian Gary eke out a split decision in this fight? No way in the world. So I am not on the Rachmanov train. Give me the overs in this. It is training partner theory. I will stick to this theory till the day I die. That when you put 2 training partners in a fist fight, ex-training partners, current training partners, whatever, they have seen everything that the other person has thrown at them. And they know what to do in every situation.
Here's the biggest red flag for me. Look at this big fight that was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Shavkat was ready to fight Bilal Muhammad. Shavkat has not fought since last December.
Yep.
So legit pull out from Bilal. Nobody's saying like, Bilal's good. What do we do with Shavkat? I know. Let's call his training partner. Remember the Ige Lopez fight where Ige took the fight off of his couch the day of, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is over." And the guys were like, "Easy money."
Yep.
Like Lopez and Ige were like, "Easy money, baby. Let's just say
$300K for that fight."
Yeah. That's what this reeks of.
Mm-hmm.
This reeks of 2 guys that are undefeated, who are training partners, who are going to go in there and go, we're not going to kill each other. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a split decision. What's the split decision prop on this? Give me a split decision.
Majority draw.
A majority draw. Something stupid is going to happen in this one. I don't see Rachmanov ripping Gary's head off. After the training partner thing, we've seen it time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
They say that they wanted it, but when they get in there, they don't hate each other. And when you just don't hate the guy, it's just hard to finish. I have this going the distance. That's my bet. That's my shocking bet on this one. Is it goes the distance? I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Overs and overs and overs.
I mean, if we're wrong and Shavkat gets across that cage, gets the takedown, and chokes Gary unconscious, so be it. I'm totally okay, like being wrong.
I'm fine laying off. I'm fine not being part of that winning.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if in round 4 people are booing because Shavkat's trying to have a punching session with Ian Gary and he's not doing too well. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Once again, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get this bizarro. I'll just make it short and sweet. I'm not betting this fight. I have no idea what to freaking think of this one. They're bringing in Kai Asakura. Jim, where do we start? There's nobody left for Pantoja to fight, so they go bring in Kai Asakura, who has won a couple fights and risen, but he's also lost one. I've watched him, and I got to be honest. No matter who wins, I don't think this fight is close. This could either be a Pantoja just absolute ass whooping, gets him on the ground, locks in the body triangle, and this is your ride for 5 rounds. Or it's obvious Pantoja's old and Asakura's speed just points him for 5 rounds, and Pantoja just looks like the old guy. I don't think this fight's going to be close, but I don't know which way it's going to go. I will not be betting on this fight. I don't get this fight. Please explain this one.
Well, Andy, I need you to do me a favor.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Who's doing who a favor?
Who's
It's got to
doing
be
who a favor?
Asakura's doing the favor.
All right. Pantoja, how you doing? It's Sean Shelby from the UFC. We got our last card of the year, and we need you to fight someone, except your division is worse than heavyweight. So we really have nobody left for you to fight. We found this guy in Japan who's got a shiny record that everybody loves. So we figured we'd call him up and give him a shot directly at the title.
When have we seen this?
When they bought out Pride. But that was a champion. So you had Dan Henderson against
This is
Shit, who was the
crazy.
champ?
This is crazy. You're
It's
bringing
absolutely wild. Okay,
it's bonkers.
and let me poke some. I'm going to poke some holes in Kai's record here. Okay, this went over.
By all means.
Well, here's the thing: is that these are the two fights that everybody comes back to. Everyone's pointing at the Juan Archuleta fight. I've known Juan Archuleta for a long
please,
time,
the
okay?
Bellator cast off.
Bellator cast off, way too much wear and tear on this guy. Former champion, okay, but not in his prime by any means. This was an old fighter against a prospect over there and won and risen. So yeah, you can throw that Archuleta win out of there. They're trying to get him a big name. So he loses to Horiguchi. And then I believe, didn't he fight Horiguchi twice?
Well, let's talk Montoya. So he beats Montoya, who's 35 and is losing to Vince Morales. And so now this guy Montoya is fighting in Deep 119 Impact. That was a movie that Samuel L. Jackson was in. Deep Impact. So
great movie.
Yeah, fantastic movie. So he loses to this guy who lost to Juan Archuleta. What is going on?
And Horiguchi.
Yes. This is just it's madness. And yeah, he did lose to Horiguchi in 2020. He got knocked out.
Yep. Yeah, it's just I believe he beat Horiguchi once, but I think they fought twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Back in 2019.
Yeah,
a lot's happened since then.
Yes. So Horiguchi also is one of Pantoja's main training partners at ATT.
Oh, wow.
Every day in the cage together. He's on UFC Countdown with him. They were saying how they have had this guy on their radar. They already prepared 2 camps for him. And they had a feeling that one day he would come in. So it's just a matter of putting the finishing touches. I don't want to spoil it. I'm picking Pantoja. I think that he weathers the early storm and then just puts on an absolute grappling clinic for 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'll save my other comments on this fight for our next segment, but I'm not going to bet on a risen guy to come in and beat the UFC champion. I don't care. We saw this with Anderson Silva when he cleared out the division. They throw these bums, and then at some point somebody's going to beat him, but I don't think this is the time.
Yeah, the whole Yukin Pantoja didn't look great against Urseg. That was a losable fight. He's shown some questionable cardio, but is Asakura the guy to do it? I don't know. This is just a bizarre, weirdo fight. Again, I just think that it's an ass whooping either way. I just don't see a close fight. So, all right, let's do the parlay buster. Do you want to go first? Yeah, you go first.
I'll go first. I am going.
Kron Gracie's just staring you in the face. Staring you in the face.
Yeah, we got to pick the guy that's busting the parlay. And Bryce Mitchell staring me in the face.
That's what I mean. Like Bryce Mitchell.
We could go Bryce Mitchell, but I'm gonna actually go with Bryan Battle, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Bryan Battle. I think this is the point in which he's due for a loss. If he gets past this fight, I'm not stepping in front of him until he's at the title. At this point, this is the prove it, make me moment. But I think his ignorance and his naivety to walk through punches is going to bite him at some point. And Randy Brown can put.
All right. Well, then I'll take Bryce Mitchell.
Perfect.
Just it takes one slip up against Gracie. So, all right. So now we have the woulda, coulda, shoulda. This is the fight that we're just like at the end, or the bet that at the end of the night we're like, why didn't we just like lay the farm on that one? So, man, lot of nominees. It's got to be less than minus 200 though on this one. So, you want to go first?
Well, if we're looking for less than minus 200, I was personally, I think we're going to look back on the Pantoja fight and say, why didn't we bet the UFC champion against a risen champion? Sorry, I know it's minus 265, but when you say it out loud like that, it kind of feels different.
It does. But we can't find an opponent in the UFC, so we went to risen to get somebody. All right, I will let it fly because you're right. That does on paper. Okay. That sounds, because that's a perfect woulda, coulda, shoulda. At the end of the night, we're going, are you serious? We didn't lay the farm against the UFC champ, the UFC debutante coming from. All right, I'm going to Max Griffin beating the announcer.
Love it.
The guy who said he thought his fight against Tony Ferguson might be his last, and we're getting minus 125 to fade that guy who sat there and said, I thought Tony Ferguson was going to be my last fight, but now I'm ready for a championship run and a full-time announcing career. That's all I need to hear. Because I will guarantee you Max Griffin, that's not his mindset going into. His mindset is, I want to beat the commentator. So Max Griffin.
Save my job is what he's thinking.
That's exactly it. Chiesa's like, I got a job. I got one. So, all right, that's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Go grab that 5% play. It's up at Wager Talk. Let's cash this big win together. Good luck on your place, and we'll see everyone later.
See you Saturday.